Okay, cool. Welcome back, everyone, to another demo day dash community call. I guess it's more community. The less we have to demo, the more community call it is, and the more we have to demo, the more demo day it is. Yeah, so basically, this week has been interesting. Yeah, there was a little bit of a waft up in the price that I almost can't explain. There was a hell of a lot of Twitter activity. Yeah, I'm super impressed with all our community members who have just been doing stuff out of their own. I know one of them, he can raise his hand if he wants. Basically like did his own paid for Twitter campaign, and yeah, that's actually very interesting. Well, when we do the analytics conversions next time, we'll actually see how that goes. Yeah, we'd like to say thanks to Macro CRG as well for all your advice and your stuff. Where we ran the Twitter giveaway for on his advice. I think that's something we might do 2 or 3 more times. It looks like a very cost-efficient way to actually gain followers. I think we're just under 400 followers on Twitter now. Learned a lot this week about the structure of crypto Twitter. There seems to be a certain sort of like a set of places where crypto Twitter, where I don't know what you want to call it, but the crypto sphere like talk about stuff like 4chans/biz/ Reddit and Bitcoin Talk, Discord, and Telegram seem to be the five and obviously Twitter seem to be the five major ones. So I think in the near future we'll be adjusting some of our metrics to specifically see if we can track if things came through those sources. Treasury keeps growing. Just a local landmark. Our treasury. I'm currently in South Africa. Logan has escaped the United States of South Africa for one of the Nordic countries that looks lovely, by the way, absolutely freaking lovely. So he's been out of commission for some of this week, but one of the milestones is that in Rand terms, we've now crossed our treasury value. Actually crossed. We crossed 1 million total raised and treasury value of 1 million total raised. So then in terms of development, Logan's going to demo some.
Just to give a figure that might be more familiar, that's it was just over 60,000 USD last I checked. So that's how much the treasury is raised. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So. Okay, and then so in terms of the marketing effort, we are still throwing everything against the wall and seeing what works. And in terms of biddling, Logan is going to demo the progress on the sentiment voting. Most of his week, though, was spent traveling and settling into where he is now. He can say where he is if he wants. What else massively significant happened this week? Well, our Telegram has gotten far more animated, and our Twitter has gotten far more animated. We've got all kinds of cool bots and stuff up now. So if anybody wants to leave a comment and tell us to put up some bot, that'd be cool. What else has happened significant this week?
Well, I think we've made a lot of progress on the roadmap, and we should. That's actually just hot off the presses right now. So we'll show that off now and then release it in Telegram just after the call here. But that's cool. That's good to have done, and I think the community was rightly pressuring us to get that out. So I feel quite good about having that out. And I also just feel like since the Telegram started getting traffic, it's like veered between total moon boys talking about the price, and then that would calm down and we have a bit of a calmer but a little bit lower paced conversation. I feel like it's gotten to kind of an equilibrium right now. Where the community and us kind of have more of an understanding, so that I feel like we're kind of moving in the same direction now, as opposed to just kind of the Telegram bouncing around and I just feel like it's a bit more of a mature relationship, if I can put it that way, between the team and the community. And I think a lot of that comes from the fact that the community, as you say, is doing sort of spontaneously adding value to and pushing the whole thing forward. And the best part about that for me is that it's not even like they're coming to us and asking what to do. They're actually sort of spontaneously deciding what to do. And that's the best kind of contribution that we could get, because with a small team, of course, our throughput is limited. So any kind of self-starting is fantastic. And I'll just say, for the sake of the recording, for anyone watching on YouTube, you know, if somebody is contributing and it turns out to be a really good contribution, we're happy to part with some of the fry in the treasury and give that away to contributions. Of course, it's all going to be on our judgment and also the judgment of the community. And if you want more of a guarantee, then of course you'd have to reach out and talk to us directly or talk to the community members. But yeah, I'm just really happy with I guess how autonomous the community is proving to be this early on, and that, I think I said this last call, but that's a hugely important thing for Foundry. I mean, it's one thing to build governance, but if the community itself isn't practiced in sort of self-organization, then the governance won't be much use. So it's good to see that growing in that direction. Yeah.
Yeah. So just in a general note on that, if you want to do anything, you know, and you feel that you need permission, or, you know, first of all, I would say you probably don't need permission. I mean, I think there are one or two like critical, just legal concerns that we have in terms of certain aspects of the system, but we have cryptographic control of that at the moment. So things like the minting key and the treasuries and stuff like that, you know, nobody can really like just access that. So no worry, you can't break the really critical parts of almost any of this thing. So if you want to run around, you know, and go try something and experiment, I mean, that is precisely what we want the thing to do. And in fact,
exactly.
Really,
and even if it like doesn't work, if it's a reasonable thing to try and you come back with the data of the failed experiment, that's also beneficial for us.
Yeah. And this is literally anything from like writing an article, tweeting, building a little tool that somehow burns fry or provides liquidity, that does anything basically that is somehow beneficial to the fry holder community at all. You know, I think really come talk to us if we're in any way, shape, or form a blocker to that. You know, yeah, if we're in any way, shape, or form a blocker to that, it'd be really cool if the thing had a spontaneous momentum entirely. Well, I think it's already getting there. And what's crazy cool to me is I really thought that we would have 12 months of real slog to get anyone to the point where they're doing stuff on their own, and it's been way smoother than that. So I'm super happy with that. Just some other updates as well. Some of the stuff. So we're trying to respond to specifically the marketing feedback from Telegram. You know, obviously if it's intelligent, you know, but there has been a lot of like very intelligent feedback. So so last week the website was massively improved. We already, I think, covered that. It was last week, right? It wasn't the week before that.
I think so, but go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So the site's been massively improved, and we're working on a couple of we're working on a video or a set of videos. We'll see how far the budget can get stretched, which just like is going to be like a mythical communication of what Fry is about. You know, it's supposed to speak to the Jungian subconscious and just bring out your inner anarchist and just feel very inspired to row, but not necessarily know exactly where you're going yet. So we're working with that with V for Visuals. What else is there basically? Yeah. So
I think let's jump into the demo.
Yeah, let's jump into the demo.
Okay. All right. Let me share screen. So this demo, like last week's demo, won't be too long. As Skalk mentioned, I only recently got settled in Estonia, so I haven't had much time to work on this, but it looks a little better. And so basically, let me just sign in to MetaMask. It might already be unlocked. It is, okay. So I'm going to connect to wallet. That's my guy. And then, so if I click on any one of these, it'll ask me to sign a message. So who's the nastier skank? And I think it's me. You can see, by the way, what you're signing here. The question and the answer. Click sign, and there you go. So now, again, this is all off-chain. So
Logan, maybe just give a recap, just very quickly for the people who didn't watch the previous demo, what we've built here.
So this is a sentiment voting tool. It uses, it basically is a way of getting an idea of what the Fry community thinks of any given decision. So when I click yes here, it says 100%, but that's not counting me as one person, that's counting me as a Fry holder of so much Fry. And so I'll demonstrate that right now. If I go here and change to another account. So this account has 162 Fry in it. This other account has much less. Oh, it's not showing here, but it has about 20 die. So if I now go vote here, let's say this guy wants Skulk to be the nastier skank. There you go. So you can see that that's 11% of the Fry. And if somebody comes with a significant amount of Fry, I mean, I have tiny amounts, then my amount, then they're obviously going to be able to outvote me. So, but the reason we call this a sentiment poll is that these don't actuate anything. These don't end up causing any actions to be undertaken. So that's what governance will do, of course. But this is just a way for us to pose questions to the community, and then for the community to vote on them, weighted by Fry vote. So we can get an idea, like if 60% of Fry holders think that that we should focus more on marketing, for example, that's obviously going to inform not just us as Team Toast, but it's going to inform the community. And I'll talk about this more when we get into the roadmap, but these sentiment tools, the whole point of them is for people to coordinate without actually having to pay gas fees. And that's a lot about communication and sort of being able to gauge where the community sits based on how much Fry different portion or different sections of people have. The only other thing I'll show is that if I send Fry around, so if I go, let me change back to my first account. And let me get the address of the second account first. So if I go to my assets and I send, so I have 162 Fry, I'm going to send to my other account 100 Fry. I actually just realized I haven't tested this yet, but it should work. So
that's the beauty of developing in Elm.
Yeah, that's true. Let me just see. I hope this won't take too long. To mine.
To quote Andre Fournier, testing prod.
That's right. Yes. Let me just.
Yeah,
speed that
I don't know how I feel about that. Our cell, I used to work at Octabase, and our CEO there had an incredibly high degree of fastidiousness when it came to testing. That I've tried to apply some of that to our contracts. Yeah, it's really fascinating how many things can go wrong with the smart contract side, though. I think the front end might be a little bit more forgiving. And the cool thing about Elm is, because it's a strictly typed, inferred typing functional language, it's very forgiving. You really it's crazy how few bugs we get.
Having some issues.
Just make it more than that. You won't see a significant.
Oh man, my computer is really working hard. Can you guys hear the fan spin up?
Got to sign that transaction, man. That shit ain't going to sign itself.
Yeah. Let's see if this is going to go.
Maybe just go to the dashboard as it.
I might be stuck here.
No, you're not. You're not stuck.
Right?
Oh, yeah, you are stuck.
I think I'm stuck.
Go to your activity.
Yeah, let's see, it just says fit. Okay, well, never mind for now. Let's abandon that. What I was going to show you is that when I send money from one account to the other, these proportions update. So, yeah, I still need to do a little bit of work. I need to actually have it check the signatures. It doesn't check the signatures at the moment, but yeah, I'm excited for that to go up.
Logan?
Yes.
Do you want to maybe chuck me a GitHub like link, and then I can quickly run it on my side and vote on one of those things?
Well, I mean, I don't think it will demo much more. I'd rather just move on rather than take the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Try to keep the content here short. Speaking of that, let me pause the recording and see if I can get that roadmap. Okay, we're back. Let me share screen again. And yeah, here's the roadmap. Maybe I should zoom out a little bit here. Nope. Okay, there's no middle ground here. But this will be up as an image right after the call. So that there'll be a link here in the YouTube video. So yeah, so starting from today, we should probably change that to say today. So after 2 weeks, we should have sentiment polling complete at maybe a low level, but yeah, it'll look a bit better than it does now. This basically just goes into what I just said. I'm not going to read through the text here because you can do that on your own. I think that would be a bit annoying for me to do here. And then the sentiment forum, we think we could get that done in about 3 months. And that we already have a forum at foundry.com. It just runs on the discourse technology, and but it's just a regular forum, and we want to modify that to display or somehow interact with fry balances, so that when you're looking at a discussion on the forum, you're not just looking at random usernames and who knows how much fry they have. You actually get a sense of, if there's some long nuanced post, it's going to mean more if the guy has a ton of fry as opposed to if he has no fry at all. And so then when you're looking at a whole thread, you get a good idea of whether the majority of fry holders actually support something. And this forum is, once we get that all set up, this forum will probably be where the majority of the consensus is sort of confirmed off chain. So if you have some proposal you want to do to pay some contractor or to do anything that the treasury could do, maybe you want to take all the DAI and take 10% of it and put it into Ether, whatever. You could post on the forum, and that'll be a really good way to see whether the proposal will pass if you actually submit it. So that, we should have that up and running in 3 months. That's the goal. And then we want a fat treasury. So this one, we're not really sure when it will happen because it depends a lot on marketing and hype. For Foundry to be successful, we need a lot of money in the treasury. And this is something we're going to have to keep throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks, as Skalk says. We're at 60,000 now. And I think what we want is multi-millions of DAI. So anything above 3 million is I would say that's sort of our lower level of success. And then of course, the bigger, the better. But if we get, 3 million, 5 million, that range, I would consider this milestone met for the purposes of Foundry. And then in 1 year, we think we can have governance version 1 live. So that's full liquid democracy. Oh, we need to put a link in this paper. We talk a lot about what this actually will be in the white paper, which we've linked. I think there's a link on the front page of FoundryDAO right now, foundrydao.com. We think we can complete that by year 1. And when I say complete it, what I mean is to have the whole thing running autonomously so that we as Team Toast have no special keys anymore. It's really just completely run by the fry holders proposing and voting in proposals. And then after that, the Foundry will just engage in project development. So that'll be basically pursuing profit through building things, and probably things that focus on financial freedom. So that could be marketing Die Hard and Smoke Signal. It could be pursuing some version of the ZimDai plan that has a profit motive, or anything else that seems like it'll return a profit. And the decisions that it makes at that point will depend, of course, on who makes up the network of fry holders, essentially. That's all I got. Any comments or questions?
It kind of looks good. Something tangible. So I think a few people will be happy about that.
Yeah, I think it's a sexy looking document. It's a sexy looking document.
Yeah. I'm a little worried people will think there's not enough detail in there, but I think there's a lot of value in being flexible as we move forward. And I think also we can, I would like to I'm playing with the idea of doing these roadmaps maybe every month. So we're updating this very regularly. On this, let me just share screen again. on this document, we have a lot more specificity in the early part. So week 2 and month 3, we're very specific. And then there's a lot of vagueness later on. And I think I would like to keep producing roadmaps in that way, because of course we know we have a lot more clarity on what we're going to do now and what the long-term goals are. And depending on how the next weeks and months go, that'll clarify what comes next. So that's, I don't know, that's my, that's a strategy that seems good for me as far as communicating roadmaps with the community. Do you guys or Skulk, anyone have any thoughts on that?
Not specifically, no. I also think, like, as a roadmap, those are the major things we want to hit. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure as time goes by, the GitHub issues, and maybe we'll include some community people in the Trellos and stuff, and we'll get more of an insight into what's actually going on inside the project. But I think as a high-level communication tool, we're pretty much set there. And like you say, I mean, we're going to update it quite a bit. I think as we learn about what to do, I mean, we've shared a bunch of ideas that are not quite mature enough to state out loud yet. But as we figure that stuff out, yeah, we'll probably be able to update things significantly.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm going to, so I guess the only other thing I had on the agenda were just to say we're looking for writers. So anyone who's watching this YouTube video, we're looking for writers. We still need to produce a lot of content. So we're looking for writers to help us do that. And that would basically take the form of having calls a lot like this one with me and Skulk and the big community members, and we communicate the ideas we want to have written, and we'll put that up on foundry.com or as Medium articles or maybe on 4chan, wherever. Doesn't really matter. Or, well, the content could go anywhere, but we do need to generate the content and basically make it easier for people to learn what they want to learn about Foundry, because that's not quite a complete foundation yet for us. And then we also need someone, if anyone is familiar with PHP, because that will probably be what we need to modify the forum software to become a sentiment forum. So yeah, if you think you can help with that, definitely reach out on the Telegram. That's all I got. Anything from you, Skulk?
Nope. That's pretty much it. Are we? So I have a question here. Okay, so Hanu asked, what are the guidelines? Do we have guidelines for what we want written up? Yeah, so it's a little bit of a generative role, really. We want sort of a community. We want a community member who's the communicator, basically, like the lead communicator, and who very much gets what we're trying to do. So in the early days of Ethereum and the original DAO's Aster, there was a guy called Stefan Toll. I think he's gotten a little bit more heat than he really deserves, but he was a pretty good communicator, and that was his main thing, was just basically telling everyone about how incredible the DAO is going to be, So yeah, so we're looking for someone who can get it, has their own momentum, and can actually like synthesize the ideas to a large degree on their own. But that's, I mean,
I'll also add there, we have a lot of ideas, it's not going to be the full responsibility of this person to come up with ideas to talk about. I mean, we have lots of ideas we could go into, but yeah, I think for me, what I see the main work as being is someone who can take an idea, come to Skulk and me or community members and ask them about it until they understand it, and then take that understanding and put it into a article. So it's somewhat creative writing, but there's not going to be the responsibility of coming up with ideas fresh. It's more about sort of almost more research, I suppose. That's a good way to put it. But the only the resources are scarce. It's just the team and the community. But yeah, it's a research project, and then you write up about it in a way that's easy for the public to understand. And then we would take it back and decide where to put it. Yeah, and then we have no problem with also including the name of the writer. We don't need to brand it with Foundry or anything like that. And feel free to bring your own style as well. yeah, that's what I got to say.
Any other questions?
Yeah, so on the questions actually. So we said we'd have a Fry giveaway for questions. I was hoping there'd be a few more people, but we can still do that.
The loyal and the just and the vigilant deserve rewards.
That's right.
All I want to say.
Yeah, yeah. So so yeah, we'll give away between 200 and 2,000 Fry for a question, depending on how good it is. Basically.
Yeah. So Jack, do you have any questions?
You can type them if you'd rather. Yeah, or Anu, if you want to type or speak up.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think there's quite a bit of background noise here. I don't have any questions specifically. Yeah, my question relates to something that was discussed a while back. I don't know if you guys have an answer on it yet, but it's just around the scaling and obviously the cost of the gas and stuff. I think you mentioned earlier today that, you know, it's a complex issue. So there's no simple solution to it. So you guys mentioned you're going to have some calls with people in the community, Ethereum community around that. So do you have any feedback around that?
I have some practical feedback in terms of what guys can do about interacting with the Foundry cell specifically. So a couple of things. The cell was basically built so that anyone can enter on behalf of anyone else, right? As long as the guy interacting is the guy putting the money down, and he can basically say like, okay, well, I have 1,000 Rand. I'm putting it down for Jack, argument's sake. And then Jack can come again later and claim his tokens. Or the same guy can come again and say, I claim the tokens for Jack, but it doesn't go to me, it goes to Jack. Anyway, the reason that I mentioned that is there's a couple of opportunities, and the gas situation is now, you know, uninflamed again, so it's not really that much of a priority anymore. But there is the opportunity that if the gas does go that high again, I've been doing a few gas experiments where I've entered buckets and pulled things out and that kind of stuff, where essentially what you can do, and this does work, I have tasted it in real life, as long as you interact with this, like not the current bucket, maybe a bucket or two in the future, and you put in gas at about a third of the current like, you know, average gas price, that typically does clear in a few hours. Right, so 2, 3, 4 hours, sometimes even sooner. It seems like people think that the gas spikes for a while and then goes down, whereas actually what happens is it spikes like this, you know, and it has this enormous like variability to it. So if you throw in a very low gas figure, you can actually do it. I'm still trying to determine what the lowest one is you can do that would say pass in a 7-hour window. So that if you interact with the next bucket, maybe then something like that, you know, you could work around something like that. If the gas does rise and does not come down again, we do have the option of building a little tool that does this for the withdrawals. So we could basically say, listen, there's like 500 withdrawals that are stuck there now because they're small amounts, you know, and pulling them out costs more than you know, than they are basically. And then what we could do is we could batch that. We could throw it in the, you know, with a special purpose like account at a very, very low gas price and throw that in. And then if it fails, it's no big loss. We just try it again. And if it succeeds, it basically like dislodges everyone's fries. So there have been a few practical advances on that. In terms of interviewing people, I think I dropped the ball on that a bit. I can definitely that is still actually on my Trello. So
we did interview Igor, of course, from XDAI. That was the video that got us, of course, all that traffic. Well, led to it anyway. Led to the Twitter traffic, but yeah.
So the other thing is basically that okay. So there are a couple of like potential scaling solutions. The biggest one seems to be optimism. And then there are things that are still in the works. So I still have to find the optimism expert out there. I'll pursue that ticket. So basically that's the one major option basically is that people can start employing optimism in the future. Then there are like a couple of technologies that aren't done yet, which I think it has limited value for us to really explore those at this stage. I think at this stage, for where we are now in terms of, you know, people just being able to participate in the sale and actually get their fry out, I think we need to focus on things that are actually like deployed at the moment. And also, it now seems to me that what's going to happen in the near future is that because lots of these contracts need to interact with each other. So for instance, if you are yield farming some coin somewhere, you know, and it's Uniswap liquidity that you have to provide to basically say that you're yield farming this coin, those two contracts have to communicate with each other. So even if the one contract like lives off chain in a certain place and the other contract lives off chain in another type of level 2 technology, it still means that you have to at a minimum pull it out, transfer it, pull it in basically. So it might be considerably harder to scale that way than than we think right now. So I think it is something that the ecosystem will need to solve, because we have a bunch of competing technologies now, and one of them is going to win. Now, we're not exactly in the, I mean, we can explore scaling, but we're not really, that's not really like our pitch at this stage is how to solve scaling. I think the big thing is we just need to be aware of where to move once the scaling, once the actual scaling solution emerges.
Well, and let me add sort of another answer there, because I mean, XDAI to me seems like it's a reasonable scaling solution. The only thing is, well, we can't move the sale there. So, I mean, I sort of agree with the part of Skulk's answer where it's like, it's just, there's no solution out there that's relevant to us right now. However, if we were going to start building governance and deploy it, I mean, if I had to choose right now, I would say let's put it on XDAI. Of course, we would need more research than that. But to me, XDAI or things like XDAI, you know, things that are cheap and fast when they work today, I think that would be a great place to start building the rest of Foundry. The drawback to solutions like that, but I suspect it might be an inescapable drawback to any scaling solution. But the drawback is that Foundry and Fry is on Ethereum. And so then to use governance on XDAI, you'd need to push your Fry through a bridge, which of course we'd have to develop the bridge as well. And then get it onto XDAI and then use XDAI. And that's just a lot of steps for the user. But as far as I can tell, if we had to build something today, I would say we need to start putting it on XDAI.
Mm. Yeah, I also think that the one of the other considerations in terms of the sale is that, well, obviously what's happening now is people are arbitraging the sale against Uniswap. I think if we did this sale last year, this time, then, you know, the arbitrage amounts would be very small. You know, people would continue to arbitrage it down to like a sub-dollar amount, basically. Now they seem to arbitrage it down to about $20 and then they stop, because the round trip from putting the stuff in, pulling it out, sending it to Uniswap, selling it for DAI, and then pulling it back in again is more expensive than what they could make in that difference. So I think and there are practical things like the thing I described about the lower gas, you know, lowering the gas fee, knowing what you're doing, that kind of stuff. I think it might be worth it. I'll write it down as a content idea, just to, if you are arbitraging the sale, just basically how to optimize it such that your transactions don't fail, that your Uniswap doesn't get front run, and that you can still basically like get away with doing it without enormous amounts of gas. I think for now that's slightly more, how can I say, yeah, that's more helpful for where we are at the moment in the situation. I did want to say something else now.
Let's maybe move on in the interest of concise content.
Okay, cool.
I will award Hanu 1,200 Fry for that question as a good question. So yeah, any other questions for the contest? Oh, there's something in the chat. Jack says when freedom.
When freedom. That's undoubtedly a one Fry question. That deserves at least one Fry.
Yeah, when freedom. That's a hard question for sure. When freedom. Soon, but with the trademark. Soon. Trademark.
Yeah, soon. TM.
Yeah. To Wooks. right?
2 weeks, yeah, 2 weeks. Only two more weeks.
Yeah.
Actually, when me and Hanu worked together, I think it was me and Hanu. When me and Hanu worked together, there was this joke about lunchtime. Like in every stand-up, it's like basically, when would this thing be done? Lunchtime. And then certain tasks, just, you know, the poor guy, you could see it was lunchtime for weeks. Anyway, yeah, so soon, lunchtime, or 2 weeks, whichever is latest.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I got another chat. Let's see what this is. Oh, it's just a
Lol.
Okay. All right. Well,
Okay.
yeah, maybe we can end it here. Yeah, but come on, guys, come next time. We should just keep giving away Fry until we get like 1 billion people in here, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think I must say though, the Twitter giveaway worked very well. I think I'm going to repeat that next week. So please keep retweeting that.
Cool. All righty. Well, thanks for watching, and thanks for joining us, Jack and Hanu.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.